So good afternoon. My name is Sarah Sarelson. I'm the Executive Director of the Wyoming Children Trust Fund, and it is wonderful to have you all here today while we talk about childcare. I'm going to hand it over to the experts who are here today to share information with us, and we will go ahead and get started.
Good morning. I'm Stony Bush. I'm a regional licensing supervisor from the Department of Family Services. And Eve, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Hello, I'm Eve Barella. I'm the Wyoming Child Care Subsidy Program Manager. And it's great to be here. Go ahead, Stony.
All right, thanks. Thank you. Childcare plays an important role in the lives of all citizens in Wyoming, as was published in the Wyoming Kids Count data for 2022, which is a publication from the Wyoming Community Foundation. There were 33,785 children under the age of 5 that lived in Wyoming in 2022. Childcare is very important to the families of those 33,785 children. Next slide. Thank you. It's important for all families with small children because in order to work or attend school, parents need a safe place for children to be. For employers, childcare is important because without it, parents of small children cannot come to work. At a time when most of the businesses you pass by are seeking staff, the importance of parents being able to work becomes highlighted, but doesn't make the idea of finding a childcare provider any easier. Just as many potential employees need help in finding a job or career, many families need assistance in finding a safe place for their children to be. That need may be complicated by parents not knowing who needs to be licensed, if the person is already licensed, if they accept subsidy payments, etc., and may become even more complex if the family needs alternate work schedules or has multiple children needing care. In all cases, DFS has a web page designed to help connect families and providers. www.findchildcarewy.org is our website. This is a screenshot of that web page. A question that many parents have is who's required to be licensed. The DFS webpage lists all exemptions for the exempt programs tab. On the exempt programs tab, that's what this screen is. We summarize this screen and those exemptions by saying in a loose way that if a person cares for more than 2 unrelated children or 1 family of children at any given time, they need a child care license. Only licensed providers will populate on the DFS facility search tab. Go to the next one. This parent portal allows a person to search for a potential provider in many ways. You can search by name. If we click to the next screen, when you click that facility search, this is the screen that you'll see. You can search by name, town, or facility type. Once you put that in and click search, which I'm sorry got cut off, and click on the program, this is the screen that you will see. It gives all of the details of the child cares listed. When you click on them, how many children they're able to care for at any given time, if it's a home or a center. It shows all of the most recent visit dates and any recent violations that the provider or program may have had. And if we go to the next one, in some cases, a family looking for care may encounter a person who is interested in becoming licensed to care for more than 1 family. And while we are currently creating a provider toolkit, this website will help in the meantime. We can refer folks who are interested in licensing to learn more by clicking on the website, or we can refer them to the child care licensing support person. There's someone available Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 by calling 307-777-3540. Eve's going to pick up from here.
Hello. We're going to go over the child care assistance program. What it is it's a program that helps low-income family caretakers pay for the cost of child care for children under the age of 13 or special needs up to the age up to the age of 18. You can, next slide. So we look at many things when someone applies for the benefits. We look at income of the family, which initially the family needs to be at 175% federal poverty level or less. And once they're approved, we have graduated phase out of 225% of federal poverty level. We also look at the activities of the families. We look at we have approved activities, which are job search, employment training, education, and if they're power recipients. We also need the family to pick a provider, a child care provider that accepts the payment. What we need is everyone who would like to apply for this benefit to complete an application. And this child care application is available on our DFS website under the assistance programs. And if you pick child care assistance, you will scroll down to the middle of the page, which will show you a downloadable application, and they will need to complete it. We also have paper applications available at the local DFS offices. How you submit, this is important. We need to know. So if you have a family that may be eligible, please encourage them to complete. We always encourage anyone to apply for the benefit because we don't know if they're eligible until we get the application and look at their circumstance to see if they may gain the benefit. We do have multiple ways for them to submit the application. They can either do it by email and the child care service at wyo.gov, submit it there, or take it to their local DFS office. That was quick.
In summary, DFS offers assistance to families, both to locate a licensed child care provider that meets their needs and to assist in paying for their child's care. Next slide. Additionally, we have other resources available to providers to help them become licensed, to stay licensed, as well as to support families in Wyoming. We provided a document prior to this call that has contact information for parents and providers that can be printed out and handed out to anyone who may need help with any part of childcare, whether it's a parent or a provider. Sarah, was that attached to this appointment?
It is, yes, it's an attachment on the calendar invite. So everybody should have it and we'll send it back out.
And you can print it, you can share it with anyone who might be interested. It has all of the websites and telephone numbers that we discussed today to help so that no one has to remember anything or go back and research it. It's all on one handy little sheet. So I think this is Eve and I's contact information. If either of us can be helpful along the way, we'd be happy to do that as well. But anyway, if you have any questions, please let us know.
Thank you both so much for coming and sharing information and really providing us more details so that we can refer families both to get subsidies and find childcare providers, and for those who are wanting to be licensed to provide. Does anybody have any questions for either Stony or Eve?
Sarah, this is Nikki Anderson, and I'm the Early Care and Education Program Manager. A couple of things. I'm going to have Stony and Eve both talk a little bit more about two things. Eve can give a brief overview about how a provider, a person who is providing childcare might enroll to receive subsidy on behalf of the child. And we'll have Stony talk a little bit about broadly what the process looks like for a person becoming licensed.
So I can talk about what a person needs to do in order to start receiving the payment. What we look at, it's a simple process to us at least. So the potential provider, we have two criteria. We have licensed and unlicensed. For our unlicensed providers, we do have a form, a 203B, which is an unlicensed registration form that the person needs to complete and turn into their local DFS office, along with the fingerprints, and we'll have to do sex offender and central check. And then we also have pre-service training. We do have that available if anyone's interested in that type of information for potential employment. For a licensed provider, we do have a similar form. It's 203A for a licensed provider. And it just basically has the information of how they want to receive their payment. And there is the another form of the WOOFs form where gets you registered for to receive the payment. That sounded terrible, right? And we follow the requirements of what licensing has, such as your central registry, your fingerprints, and all their training information. We just need the form completed.
Eve is right. In order to be a licensed provider, whether it's one of the folks that's already licensed and is on our website, or someone wants to become licensed, we also require background checks. We require all of the things that are federally required for the grant. That is the DCI FBI fingerprint check, as well as central registry and sex offender screens. In addition to that, there is a pre-service training requirement for providers, whether that be someone who's going to operate in their home or someone who works in a center. And then we also certify the facility. So we look for health and safety requirements at the center. That's how the capacity, the number of children they're allowed to care for, is established. And then we routinely do visits. We do a minimum of 2 visits a year, one scheduled and one unscheduled. And that's the results of those visits are published on that website. So under the visits tab, a parent could see when someone was inspected once they've become licensed. In addition to our requirements for visits, they also receive a fire and sanitation inspection in most cases, 1 time a year.
Great, this is such useful information. Does anybody have any specific questions, or anybody have anything else they wanted to add to this conversation? All right. Well, thank you to Eve and Stony for coming today and sharing this information that is so critical to so many components of keeping our economy going and supporting our families and our most youngest vulnerable people. So we appreciate you sharing this information. We will post this information on our YouTube channel that now has all of the webinars from all of us meeting. And so we will get that link out to you here in a few days. But if you have any questions, please reach out to Stony or Eve. We'll make sure that everybody has their information. And please be referring families, because you are often the link to help them to stay off of the cliff and to really be able to keep things stable in their homes for their children and for themselves. So thanks everybody for joining today. We will stop the recording.